Hi everyone, today we are going to study wireless LANs. So let's start with wireless LANs. What is a wireless LAN? Now, as the number of mobile computing and communication devices grow, so does the demand to connect them to the outside world. More will be the number of mobile devices, mobile computing devices and communication devices. More will be the demand to connect them to the outside world. So basically a system of notebook computers that communicate by radio communication can be regarded as a wireless LANs. So any such mobile devices or notebook computers that can communicate through radio communication can be thought of as wireless LANs. These LANs have different properties than conventional LANs. So we have studied the wired LANs, but these LANs, that is the wireless LANs, are different than the conventional wired LANs and they require special MAC sublayer protocols. The standard for the wireless LANs is known as 802.11b by the IEEE community. So the 802.11b standard, that is the standard for the wireless LANs, it defines the physical layer and media access sublayer for wireless local area network. So this particular standard for the wireless LANs defines the physical layer and the media access sublayer for the wireless local area network, or for the wireless LAN that we call it. Now let's have a look at the wireless LAN architecture. This will help us in better understanding the wireless LANs and its architecture. So at the top, as you can see, there is a distribution system. Then there are two BSS that we'll discuss later what BSS is. There are two BSS. Within each BSS, there are multiple stations. Like here you can see 1, 2, 3 stations and one access point. Again, within another BSS, there are multiple stations. Here also there are 3 stations and 1 access points. And all these access points of both the BSS are connected to the distribution system. And this complete set is known as the ESS. So this is the wireless LAN architecture. Now next we will discuss all these key terms, that is the distribution system, the access point, the station, the BSS and the ESS. Because to understand what the wireless LAN architecture is, we must know what all these terms mean. Only then we can understand what they are doing in this architecture. Okay, so to begin with, what is an access point? Now let's look at this diagram. This is the access point. As I told you, every BSS has multiple stations and one access point. So this access point we are talking of right now in this particular section. So access point, what is an access point? A networking hardware device. So basically it is nothing but a hardware device. What kind of an hardware device? A networking hardware device. So what does this networking hardware device do? It allows other Wi-Fi devices to connect to the wired network. There are so many Wi-Fi devices that are willing to connect. So it allows all those Wi-Fi devices to connect to the wired network. So we can say that an access point, also known as AP in short, bridges wired and wireless networks. So various wireless devices are connected to a wired network using an access point or an AP. So it can be thought of as a bridge between the wired and wireless networks. Next is the station. As you saw, within each BSS there are multiple stations. So what are these stations? A station is any device that has the capability to use the standard for wireless LANs, which is the 802.11 protocol. Any such device that can use the 802.11 or the wireless LAN protocol, any such device is known as a station. So it can be a laptop, it can be a desktop, it can be a Wi-Fi phone or the mobile phones, it can be fixed, mobile or portable, any device which is capable of connecting using the 802.11 protocol, right? Okay, now we have discussed the access point and the stations. Now what is the BSS? So these stations and access points are all contained within the BSS. So what this BSS is? BSS stands for the basic service set. It forms an ad hoc self-contained network. That means on-the-go network, and it is a self-contained network with station-to-station traffic flowing directly. That means the traffic flows from one station to another station directly without any intermediate device. So it allows all wireless devices to communicate with each other through a common medium, that is the access point or the AP. So as you can see, the BSS, within the BSS we have multiple stations and the access point. So it is the BSS that is allowing all the wireless devices or all the stations to connect or communicate with each other through what? Through the access point. So it is with the help of the BSS that all these stations can directly communicate with each other through the access point or the AP. This BSS contains only one AP that is connected to all stations. Now here also you can see that there are multiple stations, but there is only one access point within one BSS. So this is what it is saying, that it contains only one access point or AP that is connected to all stations, that is all wireless devices within a network. So these stations can be thought of all the wireless devices within a single or within the same network. One BSS means within the same network. So next, moving on, what is the ESS? Now here you can see there are two BSS and outside it is the ESS. So what is this ESS? So this ESS is basically one or more interconnected basic service sets. Like here you saw there are more than one BSS, it could be two, it could be three. So basically one or more interconnected basic service sets or BSSs and their associated LANs. So more than one interconnected BSS or the basic service sets and their associated LANs form an extended service set, which is known as the ESS. Now, if we talk about the BSS or the basic service set, it usually provides short-range wireless communication within a specific network, within a specific network area. But the extended service set or the ESS provides long-range wireless communication. That means if you want to move out of your network area, in that case, for communication, the extended service set or the ESS is provided. So the name itself justifies the work that it does, extended service set. So it extends the services beyond the range of the basic service set, that is be outside your device's network. Also, when you need connectivity, you need the extended service set. So basically we can say that BSS is used for short range wireless communication and the ESS is used for long range wireless communication. Okay, so next, basically in an ESS or in an extended service set, all the access points work together to create a long range wireless network that usually covers the whole building or a large area. The extended service set supports mobility. That is, the clients can move from one place to another without getting disconnected. Even if you go out of your network area, you won't get disconnected and you can still be connected to the network with the help of the ESS or the extended service set. As there are more than one AP, whenever a client will move, it will automatically jump from one AP to another AP, right? In a BSS, there is only one AP or access point. But when you look at the ESS, there are more than one access points. So when there are more than one access points, if this station jumps out of its own network area and goes to this network area, it can still be connected to the network with the help of the access point present in this area. So even if a station or a device goes outside its network area, that means when the client is on the go or when the clients are moving, they will automatically jump from one AP to another AP and get connected, and this is also called roaming. If you remember a few years back, there was roaming on mobile phones. That is when from their own range of network they were moving to some other range, they were being charged for the services they were provided. But now there is no such roaming cost. So that is the concept of roaming. And this is provided by your extended service set. To create long-range wireless communication, more than one AP is required. This we have seen, because in an ESS or an extended service set, there are more than one APs. So obviously, if you want to create a long-range wireless communication, more than one AP is required. And then all of them are connected to a wired LANs. Although all these APs are providing connection to the wireless devices, but they are all connected to one wired LAN. So all these APs or access points are basically connected to one wired LAN, and these APs are then providing connectivity to the wireless devices. All the access points in the extended service set are connected to each other by a common distribution system. Right. So as you saw here, there is a common distribution system for the entire extended service set or for the entire ESS. Right. So all the APs in the extended service set are connected to each other by what? By a common distributed system, which is known as the DS. So basically all these APs, how are they connected? How is it that when the client is moving from one network area to another, it is jumping on to another access point? Because these access points are connected. And how are these access points connected? These are connected through this particular distribution system. One single distribution system connects all the access points of various basic service sets. Okay, now let's have a look at the distribution system or the DS. Usually it connects more than one AP, that we have already seen. All the APs need to be connected to the distribution system to provide roaming services, so that the clients on the go can jump directly from one AP to another. For this you need to have a distribution system. So usually the distribution system connects more than one AP to form the extended service set or the ESS, right? And this allows users to move freely. Because of this, the users can roam or move freely and still be connected to the network. So basically, how is an extended service set formed? When various access points are connected through a common distribution system. This forms the extended service set or the ESS. With the help of the distribution system, more than one AP can get connected to the same LAN. So all the APs are connected to the same wired LAN. How is this possible? This is with the help of the distribution system or the DS. The wireless LAN is based on a cellular architecture. Now we have understood the terms or the terminologies that we saw in a wireless LAN architecture. Now let's come to the working of the wireless LAN. So basically the wireless LAN is based on cellular architecture, where the system is subdivided into cells, right? So if you talk of the cells, each basic service set can be thought of as a cell. So this is one cell, this is another cell, right? So this works on a cellular architecture where the system is divided into cells. And what are these cells? These cells are basically the basic service sets or the BSS, right? So every BSS is a cell in the wireless LAN architecture. And this is controlled. All these BSS are then controlled by a base station. There is a base station which is controlling all these cells, which are the basic service sets. And what are these base stations? These are the access points or the AP. So the APs are controlling each base stations or the cells. Wireless LANs may be formed by a single cell with a single access point. Most stations will be formed by several cells, right? So there is no such compulsion that you cannot have just one single cell or you cannot have just one basic service set. They can be formed by a single cell, but usually most stations are formed by several cells or several basic service sets, where the APs are connected through some kind of backbone. So this is the backbone that we talked just now, which is your distribution system. So all the APs are connected to each other through the distribution system or the DS, which is the backbone of the cellular architecture that we have in the wireless LAN. Now this backbone, which is the distribution system, may be Ethernet, and in some cases it can be the wireless system, right? So as I said, all the APs are connected to the wired LAN. So this wired LAN is the Ethernet cable, and this is the distribution system, which is the wireless, which is the wired LAN that we are talking of. This is the distribution system. So all the APs are connected to some wired LAN, and this wired LAN is called the distribution system. And what cabling you are using? This is the Ethernet cable that is being used in case of wired LANs, but in some cases it can be a wireless system also. Now the distribution system appears to the upper level protocols, the protocols which are above this, the physical layer and MAC layer, the upper layer protocols as a single 802 network, right? For example, the IP. But the Ethernet network appears as a single 802 network to the upper layer protocols. So the distribution system appears as a single network and the Ethernet network appears as a single network, right, to the upper layer protocols. The stations can also group themselves together to form an ad hoc network. So basically all the stations can group together to form an ad hoc network. Now what is an ad hoc network? A network with no central control, where there is no central control system and with no connections to the outside world. So stations can also group themselves to form such kind of an ad hoc network. Here the network is formed on the fly or on the go, as and when. There is no predefined configuration. So the network is formed on the fly simply because there happens to be mobile devices, and you cannot pre-decide the configuration for the mobile devices or for the devices which are always on the go, that have found themselves in proximity to each other, that have a need to communicate, and that find no pre-existing network infrastructure, because they are mobile devices. So obviously you cannot have a pre-existing network infrastructure for them. As and when they roam, they find themselves to be in the close proximity to another device, and they have a need to communicate, they get connected. That is why this kind of a network is formed on the fly or on the go. An ad hoc network might be formed when people with laptops or mobiles meet together, for example in a conference room where you have just come for a conference and you need to be connected through the network. Then in that case obviously an ad hoc network would be required. So for example in a conference room or in a train or in a car, and want to exchange data in the absence of a centralized access point. So this is all about the wireless LANs.